The war between humans and Valorans had finally ended, but peace still felt like a fragile thread stretched between two stars. The Valorans were a proud alien race, tall, luminous beings with crystal-like skin that shimmered under the light. Their voices were not spoken through sound, but through gentle waves of thought, shared directly from mind to mind. The humans, on the other hand, were warm-blooded, imperfect, and emotional, creatures of heart and instinct. After decades of misunderstanding, the two races had finally agreed to a fragile truce. They had fought bitter battles, but now, aboard the Alliance command ship Resolute, there was a ceremony to mark a new beginning, the birth of a child who would belong to both worlds. Princess Lyra of Valora, daughter of the High Queen, had chosen a new path for her people. She believed peace was possible. Her child, born under the unity of two civilizations, was to be a symbol of that peace, a living bridge between humanity and the Valorans. The medical chamber was a room of soft blue light, filled with both human doctors and Valoran healers. Machines hummed gently, and the air carried the scent of metallic purity. Princess Lyra lay on a levitating bed of energy crystals. Her shimmering skin glowed faintly, but her breathing was weak. Around her, the Valoran healers formed a circle, their minds connected as one. At the far side of the room stood several human officers, silent, respectful, and uneasy. Among them was Sergeant Daniel Reeves, a human medic with years of field experience. He was not supposed to be there. He had volunteered to assist, though no one had expected his help to be needed. The child's birth came with both beauty and fear. A soft pulse of light filled the room. The baby emerged glowing faintly, wrapped in a silver film of energy. The Valoran healers lifted the child gently, but their mental voices began to tremble. Something was wrong. The newborn was silent. Valoran children were born with a mental hum, a gentle vibration that joined their species' telepathic song. But this baby gave no hum, no song. Instead, there was only a dull flicker of dim light beneath its crystalline skin. "He does not respond," whispered one of the Valoran healers, her mental voice echoing through the chamber. Princess Lyra stirred weakly. "My child." Her thoughts were faint, almost like whispers through fog. The healers moved quickly. They sang the telepathic lullabies of their kind, melodies that vibrated through light and emotion. But the child did not respond. They used energy crystals to adjust his aura, but nothing changed. The baby's glow dimmed further, and a low hum like static filled the room. The human doctors looked helpless. Their machines showed normal readings, yet something spiritual, something beyond human science, was happening. Daniel stepped closer, his eyes soft but alert. He could see fear in everyone's face. Even the normally calm Valorans were trembling. The senior healer turned toward the princess. "We cannot reach his mind. His connection to the song is missing." Princess Lyra reached out with trembling hands. Her eyes, pale silver and full of sorrow, met Daniel's for a moment. In that instant, he saw something beyond her royal title. He saw a mother afraid to lose her child. The baby made a faint, rasping hum, still not a cry, not a sound of life, but a sign of fading energy. Daniel took a deep breath. His instincts as a medic kicked in. "Permission to try something, Your Highness," he said quietly. The Valoran guards looked at him sharply. "You cannot touch the royal child," one warned. Lyra raised a hand weakly. "Let him." Her mental voice trembled, but there was hope hidden inside it. Daniel nodded. He slowly removed his gloves, exposing the warmth of human skin. His hands were scarred, reminders of old battles and too many medical emergencies. He stepped closer to the glowing cradle where the baby lay. The child's skin looked fragile, like liquid crystal. Daniel knelt beside him. He remembered something, a time on Earth when he had held his sister's baby. The infant had been sick, crying endlessly, and nothing had helped until Daniel had placed the baby against his chest, letting it feel the rhythm of his heart. It wasn't medicine that saved that child. It was warmth. So now, on this alien ship under the eyes of two species, he did the same. Daniel gently placed one hand over the baby's small body. The Valoran healers gasped quietly as his warm human skin met the child's cool, glowing surface. The baby's light flickered once, then steadied just a little. Daniel whispered softly. His voice was low, calm, and steady. "Hey there, little one. You're all right. You're safe. Breathe. Follow me." The Valorans didn't understand his words, but they felt something change in the air. His voice carried warmth, emotion, and rhythm, something telepathy could not replicate. Princess Lyra's eyes widened. "His glow," she whispered. The child's light brightened faintly. The dull gray shimmer turned into a gentle blue. The hum in the room shifted from static to a soft melodic tone. Daniel continued speaking gently, not with command, but with care. "You've got a world waiting for you, little one. Come on, show us that voice." The baby's eyes fluttered open, two tiny orbs of crystal blue. Then for the first time a sound filled the chamber. It was not a hum. It was not telepathy. It was a real cry. The first physical sound ever made by a Valoran newborn. It was sharp, imperfect, and utterly alive. Every Valoran in the room froze. Their telepathic minds went silent in shock. They had never heard a cry before. They communicated through thought, not sound. But now this child had chosen to speak through something human, through voice. Daniel's lips curved into a smile. "There you go." The baby continued crying, loud and real. The monitors glowed with energy surges, showing rapid improvement in all vitals. The Valoran healers stared in disbelief. Princess Lyra, tears glittering like small diamonds, reached out her arms. Daniel gently placed the baby in her hands. The infant instantly quieted, still glowing softly. Lyra looked at Daniel. "What did you do?" Daniel shook his head. "Nothing special. I just gave him a heartbeat to follow." The Valoran counselors murmured among themselves. The human commander, Captain Rhodes, stood speechless. "That wasn't supposed to be possible." One of the healers, old and wise, stepped forward. "Perhaps it was not the act of medicine," she said slowly, "but the act of meaning." For a moment, the entire ship felt peaceful. The tension that had once filled every hall, the quiet suspicion between human and Valoran, seemed to fade. The baby's cry had become more than a sound. It was a symbol. As the minutes passed, Princess Lyra held her child close. The baby's glow was now steady and strong, pulsing softly in rhythm with her heartbeat. Daniel stood nearby, silent but content. His hand still tingled faintly from the strange energy that had passed through him, but he ignored it. He only cared that the child was alive. Captain Rhodes approached. "You just broke about a dozen medical and diplomatic rules, Sergeant." Daniel smiled faintly. "Yes, sir, but I'd do it again." Rhodes sighed, half smiling. "You always do." Lyra looked at Daniel again. Her voice came softly through the air, this time not telepathic. She actually spoke words, struggling slightly with human language. "Thank you, human." Daniel nodded respectfully. "You don't need to thank me, Your Highness." It was an honor. But before anyone could speak further, one of the Valoran engineers entered the room in haste. "Princess!" We detected an energy surge when the child cried. It radiated beyond the ship, across several sectors. Rhodes frowned. "A surge?" "Yes, Captain. It wasn't mechanical, it was biological." The Valorans looked worried. Princess Lyra's expression changed slightly, as if she remembered something from her people's ancient legends. "Your Highness?" Daniel asked quietly. Lyra hesitated. "Long ago our ancestors spoke of a child who would sing between worlds, a child whose cry would awaken the stars." No one spoke. Daniel felt a chill run through him, not of fear but of awe. He looked at the small glowing baby in Lyra's arms. The child cooed softly, a faint hum joining the ship's background noise. "What does that mean?" Captain Rhodes asked carefully. Lyra's voice was steady now. "It means peace or danger. We do not yet know." Later that night, the Resolute sailed silently through deep space. Outside its metal hull stretched an ocean of stars, calm and endless. Daniel sat alone in the medical bay, checking the readings from earlier. The energy pulse had indeed spread beyond normal detection range. Every monitor showed the same result, a wave pattern that seemed almost alive, rhythmic, and harmonious. He looked up at the window, at the reflection of his tired face. "What have we just started?" he murmured. In the nursery chamber, Princess Lyra sat with her child, softly humming a new song. Not the telepathic melodies of her people, but a gentle human lullaby Daniel had taught her earlier. It was a small tune, nothing grand, just a mother's song. As she sang, the baby glowed brighter, and for the first time, the mother and child shared both song and sound, mind and voice. In the distant stars, something ancient stirred. It was faint, like a forgotten echo, but it responded to the same rhythm, the same pulse that had come from the Resolute. The Valorans would later call it the Awakening, though that name had not yet been spoken. For now, aboard the silent ship, only one truth mattered. A human soldier's heartbeat had saved a royal child, and that single act had begun to change everything. Days passed aboard the Resolute, but calm had not returned. Though Princess Lyra's child Ari now glowed steadily and slept peacefully, subtle ripples of energy continued to emanate from him. Machines monitored him constantly, and yet no one could fully understand the strange, beautiful pulses that radiated across the ship. Daniel Reeves, the human medic who had first saved Ari, found himself drawn back to the nursery repeatedly. He did not know why. Perhaps it was duty, or perhaps something deeper. Every time he approached, Ari's tiny hands twitched toward him, and the light in his crystalline skin brightened in response. The Valoran healers, who were once uneasy about Daniel's interference, now watched in awe. "This human, his presence stabilizes the child," whispered Elder Vera, one of the oldest Valoran healers. "He resonates with him." Lyra, holding Ari close, noticed the same thing. "He calms only when Daniel is near," she said softly, her voice trembling with both awe and gratitude. "It is more than coincidence." Daniel knelt beside the princess, careful not to disturb the child. "Ari isn't just special," he said quietly. "He's unique. He's showing us something, and maybe even teaching us something about life." Lyra nodded. "He is not only a bridge between our worlds. He may be a bridge to the stars themselves." The idea was thrilling, but not everyone aboard the ship was as optimistic. The Alliance Council had begun to worry. Scanners had detected energy surges spreading farther than any known technology could account for. Some suggested isolating Ari, or even moving him to a secure laboratory to study him. Daniel refused. "He's a baby, not a machine. He needs love, not isolation. He's proof we can be more than we were." Lyra's eyes glimmered with understanding. Humans, they always find the simplest way to reach the heart. Meanwhile, across the vast expanse of space, the energy pulse that Ari had emitted began to stir something ancient. Far beyond known territories, a being awoke, a star harvester, a colossal creature of living energy, whose very existence depended on absorbing rare life forces across galaxies. Its consciousness, vast and slow, detected the unique frequency from Ari. Inside the ship, Daniel was oblivious to the approaching danger. He focused instead on small human acts, teaching Lyra to rock Ari in gentle circles, humming songs that humans had sung for millennia, and encouraging the baby to respond with smiles and tiny coos. One evening, while the twin sons of the Valoran system sat casting soft, prismatic light across the nursery chamber, Ari laughed for the first time. The light from his skin danced across the walls, refracting like 1,000 tiny stars. Lyra's eyes shone with tears. Daniel smiled. "That's it, little one. You're learning your own voice." The ship hummed gently as Ari's laughter created subtle ripples in the surrounding spacetime, waves that the ship's instruments could measure but not fully explain. 2 days later, alarms rang across the Resolute. Monitors flashed warnings of an approaching energy being, one far larger than the ship itself. The Star Harvester had arrived, drawn by Ari's unique signal. In the command center, Captain Rhodes studied the readings with a tense expression. "It's massive," he said. "If it attacks, we won't survive." Lyra, standing nearby with Ari cradled in her arms, felt a chill despite the warm air of the chamber. "It recognizes him," she said almost in a whisper. "It senses the child's energy." Daniel stepped forward calmly. "It may not be hostile," he said. "It's curious, but we can't take chances." The ship's Valoran engineers tried to activate shields, but the Harvester's energy was like nothing they had seen. It bent the space around it, passing through barriers as if they were mist. Panic rippled among the crew. But Daniel did not flinch. He looked at Ari, sleeping peacefully in Lyra's arms. "If it comes, we face it together. Not as soldiers and aliens, but as living beings." Lyra nodded. "And the child?" "He will help," Daniel said simply. When the Harvester approached the ship fully, its colossal form shimmered in the void. It was a being made entirely of light and energy, pulsing with colors that the human eye could barely comprehend. It examined the ship slowly, as though weighing the life forms inside. Lyra held Ari tightly, speaking soothingly to him. "It's okay, little one. You are safe. The baby stirred, his glow responding instinctively to the alien being. Daniel knelt beside Lyra, placing his hand lightly on the baby's small chest. He felt Ari's heartbeat, soft, warm, and perfectly in rhythm with his own. The harvester pulsed in response. Its energy swirled and vibrated like an invisible song, resonating with the same pattern as Ari's heartbeat. Daniel realized then that the harvester was not attacking. It was communicating, or at least trying to understand. "We need to project a signal," Daniel whispered. "A signal of trust." Lyra looked at him, puzzled. "How?" Daniel smiled faintly. "The same way we always do, and with heart, not weapon." He began speaking softly to Ari, humming in a quiet rhythm. Lyra joined in, using the gentle Valoran lullaby that she had been singing since Ari's birth. Together, their combined voices and energy created a harmony that flowed naturally, as if life itself sang through them. Ari stirred and responded, cooing and glowing brighter than ever. His tiny hands reached out, and in that moment something extraordinary happened. The combined pulse of human voice, Valoran song, and infant life energy radiated outward, creating a protective aura around the ship. The star harvester paused. Its enormous form quivered slightly, unable to comprehend or consume the energy that was now shared and united rather than separate. Daniel continued softly. "Ari, show them what humans and Velorans can be together. Let them hear your voice," the baby responded instinctively. A radiant wave of light burst from him, synchronized perfectly with Daniel's heartbeat. The harvester shuddered, ripples of energy scattering harmlessly across the surrounding space. Slowly it receded, its curiosity satisfied but unable to absorb what it could not dominate. Silence returned aboard the ship. The alarm ceased and the Resolute stabilized. The crew stared in awe. Lyra held Ari close, tears running freely down her face. "He did it," she whispered. "He protected us." Without a single weapon, Daniel smiled, exhausted but elated. "He's not just a child. He's hope." The Valorans, who had once doubted human methods, now whispered among themselves. Elder Vera approached Daniel, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of Ari's light. You speak to life in a way we cannot. You are more than your kind's teachings. You are the heart speaker." Daniel shook his head, embarrassed. "I just held a baby. That's all." "No," Lyra said firmly. "You gave him warmth when nothing else could. You showed our child the meaning of life, and in doing so, you changed everything." The days that followed were quiet, but filled with wonder. Ari grew rapidly, his abilities mysterious but clearly tied to both human and Valoran life. Every time Daniel approached, the baby responded, glowing brighter, cooing or laughing in delight. The bond between them seemed almost magical, a connection that went beyond biology. The alliance between humans and Valorans, once tentative, now strengthened. Stories of Ari's first cry and Daniel's courage spread through both species, becoming a symbol of unity and hope. Children on distant colonies spoke of the baby who had tamed a star harvester with song. Adults whispered about the human who had understood life when even the most advanced alien minds could not. One evening, Lyra, Daniel, and Ari stood together on the observation deck. Stars stretched infinitely around them, glittering in silent wonder. Ari waved tiny hands at the cosmos, his light mingling with the distant suns. "Do you think he'll ever understand what he did?" Lyra asked. Daniel looked at the baby and smiled. "He already does, in his own way. And one day the universe will too." Lyra rested her head against Daniel's shoulder. "You know, he may be the first of many, a new generation that will truly unite our people." Daniel chuckled softly. "I just hope I get to see it." Ari laughed, the sound soft and musical, echoing through the observation deck. In that laughter, humans and Velorans alike could feel something new. Not just life, but hope, compassion, and connection across worlds. And somewhere, far beyond the reach of their eyes, the galaxy seemed to respond. Stars shimmered more brightly, and distant energies shifted in harmony with Ari's heartbeat. The child's existence was no longer a secret. He was a signal, a reminder that life, no matter its form, could bridge any gap and overcome any fear. Daniel watched him, and for the first time in decades he felt the quiet certainty of something greater than himself. He had stepped forward when no one else could, and in doing so, he had rewritten the story of two civilizations. Princess Lyra smiled at him. "Thank you," she said simply. Daniel shook his head. No, the thanks belong to Ari. He taught us how to hope. The baby gurgled, his glow pulsing gently as if in agreement. And in the quiet of the observation deck, surrounded by stars, humans, Velorans, and one extraordinary child, a new chapter of the galaxy's story had begun, one of unity, courage, and the boundless power of life itself.